Good morning. Welcome to Marketing and Mindset. I am so excited to get started this morning. My name is Vanessa Cooper. I'm a Pinterest marketing expert and content creator, and we are here every Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern. We usually have a guest speaker every Wednesdays that come and talk on different topics to help business owners grow, whether it's on marketing or mindset. We are waiting right now for our guest speaker to pop in. He's going to be talking about video marketing today. He's an expert in video marketing. I'm excited to hear what he has to share. And then my Clubhouse bestie, Connie, should be popping in here too as well. But I'm very excited to come here and talk to you guys. I just wanted to kind of remind you guys a little bit about room etiquette. We are going to be up here talking with you guys. You guys are welcome to raise your hand and ask questions related to the topic. And if you're shy about asking questions, you're welcome to ask questions in our chat. I just always ask that you keep the chat related to the conversations that we're talking about and don't just spam the chat with like business opportunities. And that's it from me. I'm very excited to get started today. Connie, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to the room, and then if you can prompt Nick to introduce himself, that would be wonderful. My name is Vanessa Cooper, and I'm done talking.
Hi, my name is Connie and I go by La Doc. I'm a Christian mindset stress coach. You might think, what is that? Well, I just help people manage their stress. Stress is an emotional response to a situation, and because we're emotional beings, we respond with our emotions at all times. And so we may put ourselves in undue stressful situations because of our emotions and where those emotions stem from. And so I'm the mindset and Instagram guru in the room. Thank you so much for being with us today. Today we have a super special guest. His name is Nick. He's going to teach us a little bit about video marketing, answer all the questions that you may have, and give you some tools and tips to implement some of those things in your business. Nick, go ahead and unmute your mic and introduce yourself.
Make sure that your mic's unmuted, because if you're talking, we can't hear you. It's on the bottom right. And no worries, we accidentally stay muted all the time when we go to speak. So just make sure, Nick, that you push that little button on the bottom right that's got a little microphone, and then that way we can hear you. Oh, no. Oh, gosh, you must be having technical difficulties, I'm assuming. If it's not letting you speak, feel free to message me. We might have to... Well, it should work now. Go ahead and try talking, Nick, and try introducing yourself. I'm done talking. Okay, yeah, I'm assuming that he's having microphone issues, Nick. If you could try to leave the room again, and then just pop back in, or maybe refresh the room. That's like by pulling down on your screen and see if it helps. Sorry, everybody. Bear with us while we get our technical difficulties under control. Because it's definitely not, we can't hear you at all. Well, the mic's still muted, so there's that.
Hey, Vanessa, sorry, I just realized I had my microphone plugged in, which meant my audio was not working. So I've been sitting here not hearing anything for 2 minutes, just figured
Oh,
it out. So I
oh,
apologize. I missed everything up till now.
no worries. No worries at all. Go ahead, Nick, and introduce yourself. Let everybody know who you are, what you do, and then we'll get started. I'm done talking.
All right, awesome. So yeah, so I'm Nick Niehaus. I'm a co-founder as well as the head instructor of a company called Business Video School. So we work with small business owners, a lot of real estate agents in particular, and we help them learn how to communicate through video. And that's really sort of our philosophy, is that we see video as a form of communication that goes really well beyond marketing. So it's something we should be using for customer service and talking to clients, and just making sure things are going well with our partners and all kinds of stuff. So we've worked with a couple thousand businesses over the past few years. Got started really right around the beginning of the pandemic. In fact, the pandemic almost sort of forced our hand. We were doing video production before that and got pretty much entirely shut down by the pandemic for a while. And so we started the school and kind of haven't looked back. And I guess just beyond that, I mean, my background's in marketing. I've been doing marketing for about 15 years, focused on video for probably about the past 7, and have made lots and lots of videos. I was thinking about the other day, probably made a couple thousand videos at this point in my career. So Yeah, love talking about this stuff. But yeah, I mean, I especially like talking on just the fact that video is there's just so many different ways we can use it, and I feel like we're only starting to scratch the surface. So yeah, excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here, Nick. I really appreciate you coming here today and talk to us. And that is right. That's absolutely right. Video marketing is really where it's at. Like I watch videos like every single day, whether it's on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. And it's really powerful. Like I've literally bought stuff after watching a video. So it's such a powerful tool. And there's a lot of, I think, obstacles that come with video marketing for certain people who either struggle finding content or maybe they're in a type of business that it's hard to do a video for, or at least they think it is, or maybe that they struggle with confidence enough to get behind the camera. Before we get into, I have a lot of questions. Number one, I wanted to ask, who is video marketing for? Is there a business at all that you run into where you're like, okay, this might not be your route? Or have you found that just about every type of business can definitely benefit from video marketing? I'm done talking.
Yeah, Vanessa, that's a great question. It's funny, I actually kind of got that question yesterday, so I've been thinking about this. So the truth is, there might be a few businesses. So the reality is, I mean, what video is going to do for you, and my specialty and the thing I really help people understand a lot is small business video, which is usually sort of a personal branding kind of thing. So where we're going to be on camera, the owner of the company or the customer service rep or whoever the person that customer may end up engaging with, we like to have them in the video because video of all types of communication is going to build parasocial relationships the fastest, and the most significantly. So what that means is that by seeing that other person, they become real. There's actually a part of my brain that recognizes human faces called the fusiform face area. And so that gets activated when we see a video. So we have this sense, and you watch a video of somebody that it's almost kind of like they're sitting there in front of you. And obviously, we know consciously they're not, but all these non-conscious parts of our brain actually kind of interpret it that way. So in a lot, so that's a positive thing in 99% of cases. So I would say any business that wants to have these relationships with their customers, that wants to get into sort of a deeper level of understanding with the people watching their content, like they definitely should be making videos. There are certain categories of companies that want to remain sort of these anonymous, I don't know, gigantic blobs or something, right? It's like these giant corporations, and they tend not to have great customer service. And I won't single any of them out right now, but I'm sure we can think of a few. Those, I mean, yeah, they do run ads, they do use video. They don't tend to include any of their employees or any of that kind of stuff in those videos. So, and the sort of the short answer is I don't think there's many, especially in the small business community, where video is not useful, at least in some capacity, in some sort of area. But I do think there might be some bigger companies that maybe don't want to have that kind of level of intimacy with their customers. So they might be the only ones that maybe shouldn't be using video. And I'm done.
I totally agree with that. And it's funny, I didn't even think about that. There are some big companies where honestly, I think when you have a lot of people watching you and you're a big company and a big brand, it almost becomes risky to get real personal on there. Like we see like celebrities nowadays, if they post the wrong thing or they're in a video doing the wrong thing, like they just get, like attacked by the media. So that's a very interesting look of it. And it's true. Some of them don't get too personal. So it is for small businesses very important. I agree with that as well. Like that's something that I've talked to people about. I did direct marketing years ago. I was actually in the MLM industry way back when I first started trying to have an online business, and that was one of the things that people really miss the mark on is the relationship, the personal part of it, the being on video, letting people see who you are. I ran into a lot of people that were so spammy and were just pushing sales, sales, sales. While with video marketing, you really do get to sort of build trust with your audience. And it's in that relationship and in that trust and in the fact that they're online where anybody can really pretend to be anybody in this online world. It's hard to build trust in it. It's so much easier when you have that video marketing and they can see you and that you're real and start to kind of build trust in you. So that's really good. What is one of because I know with me, when I have, I do marketing as well, and I've helped try to help people, try to grow their businesses. And I've taught attraction marketing, and I've encouraged video marketing a lot to a lot of businesses to help them grow. But I run into people where they are really terrified to get behind a camera and they really, really struggle with that fear. Do you run into this a lot with your business? And if so, what are some of the techniques that you can share with us to kind of get past that fear of being behind the camera? I'm done talking.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And good on you for fighting the good fight, trying to get these small businesses to overcome that fear and use these tools because it's I've been working in this area now for quite a while, and I mean it is, man, it's a big moment, it's a big shift when a lot of these companies. And I really sort of think the company is the business owner. They're small businesses. They're pretty much entirely run by the owner usually. And so when that person gets over that fear and they get on camera and they start doing this stuff, I mean, just the amount of impact it can have is just amazing. And I think a lot of them look back and kind of kick themselves for not doing it much sooner. So, but to answer the question, I mean, I think the first thing, so there's two things that are happening when you watch a video of yourself. These are just sort of facts that you should know and to help you kind of get over this stuff. So first of all, you're automatically, the first time you see a video of yourself, you're not going to like how you look or sound, at least for most people. And the reason for that is number one, our voices, they're much deeper in our own heads. So our voices actually vibrate bones in our heads as we talk, and that creates a lower sort of octave part of our voice. And so when we hear recordings of our voice, by default, we hear it sounds much tinnier, it sounds much higher, it sounds like there's part of it missing. It just really sounds strange to us. Well, no one else ever hears our voice that way. So every single other person that they listen to the recording, you sound just like you normally do, right? So that's not going to go away, but by knowing that that's happening, like that explains part of what makes us uncomfortable there. Same thing with video. Every day when we get up, probably in the evenings, throughout the day, like we look in mirrors, right? There's mirrors all over the place. And so the image of our face that we're actually used to seeing is a mirror image, and a mirror image is flipped left to right. So, whenever we see our face in the mirror, we're actually not seeing ourselves the way most people do. We're seeing it flipped. And, a lot of us have our faces aren't perfectly symmetrical. It's very slight, right? But they're, one eye is slightly lower than the other, that kind of stuff. So when it is flipped, it's disorienting. It's very subtle, and it kind of creates this sort of unease. We look at ourselves and think, there's something off. I don't know. I don't want to share this. I don't feel comfortable about this. So yes, I've heard that, especially when we're in our studio working with people, which we don't do as much of anymore. But that part, I mean, man, you're almost doing, it's like therapy with some people, sort of helping them get over this fear when they're making, especially one of their very first videos. So those are two things you got to remember. Those, the more you see yourself in a recording, the more those parts go away. So, I mean, there's plenty of our students and myself included now where I don't always like every video I make because there's certainly things I can be critical of, but I don't see it and go, oh man, I feel weird about how I sound and look because I've just seen myself in video so often. So that helps. And then the other thing I will say is a lot of why people get so scared of video is that they often start with the most complicated version. So they start with this kind of video, like the social media video, or they start with making advertisements for their business because for many of them, that's what they wanted to do for years. It's what they've built up to doing. It's what they've procrastinated telling themselves because it was complicated and it was going to cost a bunch of money and they were going to have to buy a bunch of equipment and whatever excuses they made. And unfortunately, it builds this mountain to overcome. So it's like every year it almost feels harder and harder to even get started. And I've seen people buy entire entire studios worth of equipment, and set up a video studio in their basement, and never use it for 3 years. So we don't want that. So I think the key there is start simple. Start with really really basic forms of video. So we talk a lot about sending people happy birthday videos. Sending client update videos. This is stuff that's only ever going to be seen by one person. It's a message. It doesn't require any kind of high level production. It's very easy to make. And you're not like, there's just no excuses, right? So if somebody's like, oh, I got to do this, this, and this before I can make a video, I'm like, well, your first video could be happy birthday and there's no blocks there. And so then the excuses are gone. You get started almost right away. 2, 3 weeks later, you've made a couple dozen videos already. You've gotten more used to seeing and hearing yourself on camera. It's not going to make everything you do from that point super easy. It's not a switch from one side to the other, but you start to realize, wow, this is just a way to talk to people. This is how I look and sound to anybody else. And I just need to kind of push past some of my nerves because it's a better experience for the viewer. They're going to understand me better. They're going to retain more of the information. It's going to deepen my relationship with them. So when you combine all that, you start simple, you know kind of what's going to make you uncomfortable, and then you focus on the viewer and not yourself. You focus on the value you're giving and not the benefit or the attention you're going to receive. That approach does tend to really help people get started, especially. So hopefully that makes sense, and I'm done.
It does. And that's excellent advice. I love that. Just doing like the happy birthday videos, like just something that simple is great. And I've given similar advice, and I let people know like especially with me, I think cuz I'm pretty anxious and I used to panic like about doing things live. So like this right now, you know what I mean? Like I screw up my words here all the time. I don't even care at this point, but when I first started, for example, on Clubhouse, I would get so nervous to like raise my hand in a room or even come up here and talk. Like I would get like really, really nervous about it. But what happens with the exposure of it over time, once I started consistently doing it every week, and now it's been like a couple of years, if not longer, I don't know. It's gotten so much better. Like I literally almost don't even care anymore. Like my little reminder alarm goes off and I just pop in here like, hey, it's real casual. I don't even care if I screw it up. I've gotten so used to this platform. And the same thing happens with video, and it was the same thing with me when I first started video marketing, I would get nervous too. And I would like redo the video 20,000 times, like panicking that it had to be perfect. And now I'm at the point where I'll actually record videos for my YouTube channel, screw it up in the middle, and like just be like, it's not a big deal. Like, sorry, guys. And you get to build this comfort level the more you expose yourself to the things that make you uncomfortable and the more you expose yourself to your fears, the less and less nervous you get about it. So it's really powerful. And I love that you can do that. And that your brain sort of desensitizes to it and starts to find comfort in it. So you mentioned with video marketing, and I like that you mentioned this to just sort of start off small, that you don't have to do these big, long, elaborate videos or have this big, fancy equipment, especially when you're getting started. Is there anything that you think that people should have, like at the minimum, if you get started? Like, I guess, like what type of videos are the best maybe to market your business? Is it going to be different for different businesses? Or do some videos do better if they're more like graphic design, sort of like infographic type videos? Do they do better than if it's just like a person showing you things? Are longer videos better? Are shorter videos better? Can you give us just a general idea of what types of videos you think perform best when it comes to promoting your business? I'm done talking.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that it's very broad, right? So the answer is going to basically come down to which business it is, and obviously kind of customizing for that. But I do think so. A couple of rules that we tend to sort of teach is like number one, when you're first getting started, you do probably want to start short, and there's a couple reasons for that. So these newer short form platforms, your TikToks, your Instagram and Facebook Reels, YouTube Shorts, those are a good place. I'd say, well, let me put it this way. Once you're ready to start making public facing video, right? So I do really emphasize that sending video messages, recording your FAQ videos, all the stuff that gets used internally it's just always going to be a lot less pressure, especially because there's the element when you get onto social media or sort of an advertising perspective, there's that aspect of I just don't know who's going to see this, and that can be intimidating, right? So assuming you're past that, I think short form's great. It's easier to create. So, we're talking, and when I say short form, you're getting started, I'm talking like 15 to 20 seconds. Give people some simple advice, show them a quick behind the scenes in your business, something like that. But you start short. It's easier for you to make. It's helpful to have a script or be really kind of precise about what you will not say, so that you're sort of intentionally limiting how much you're saying. That is really good practice for longer videos because it still makes you still be really specific and concise with the words you use. You don't waste people's time. The other part about it is you're going to, with your audience, if they're meeting you for the first time, they're not going to give you a lot of time. So you got to go short. You got to get straight to the point. I like to do stuff that is, this is going to depend on your business, but I like to tie it to the community that you're a part of. I think that for most small businesses, the reason somebody does business with you is, they like you, right? I mean, sometimes that's a reputational thing. They got a referral from somebody, whatever it might be. But they trust you, they like you, they feel good about how you run your business and the fact that you're going to take care of them. If you can show them, that you're a part of their community, if you can show them you have things in common with them already, that tends to open that door a lot faster, right? So a lot of folks would get out there and they just immediately start promoting their business. And I would say, well, can you go make a quick little 20-second video about your favorite local restaurant or something like that? Because that's going to show people, hey, this business, this person, they're a part of my community. They like the same things I do. Maybe I'll keep watching their stuff. This got my attention, right? That's kind of awareness stage marketing. Then from there, you really just move through the funnel. I mean, that's the beauty of a lot of this stuff, is that we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just using a new form of communication. So we want to start with short stuff, more awareness based, not so promotional. Then as you've made more videos and people have started to consume more of the content, you can get longer, you can get more in depth, you can start to get to the consideration phase, which is more of your maybe you're showing some testimonial videos, or you're showing that might be more of your case studies, or talk about what your business does. And then at the end, you're going with your conversion, and that's where you're giving people a call to action. That might be a sales video on a landing page that's 10 minutes long and goes into a lot of detail. But other businesses, that conversion is going to go the other way. It's going to be something really short. It's going to be an ad that gets somebody to claim a coupon or something like that. So that's another area where it's going to really depend on the business specifically. So I know that's kind of a broad answer. Hopefully that gives everybody a little bit of an idea of where to start, though, depending on where you're at in your business and kind of the customers that you do serve. And I'm done talking.
No, that was really good advice. And no, yeah, no, I do. And that's why I asked it that way too. Like, every business is different. Like if you sell, let's say you sell makeup, you might have to do a long makeup tutorial where you're going through all the steps. That might work better for you, where you're actually showing people these long steps. And if you just do one tiny short video, so definitely it is different for your business. But that's still really, really good advice that you shared. With CTAs, call to actions, I feel, are so important. And I know you mentioned it a little bit just now when it comes to the video that you create. Are there different types? And this might be silly. Are there different types of call to actions? Like, this might be a silly question, so just bear with me because you're the expert, so I have to pick your brain. But are there different types of call to actions that might work better than others? Like, is it better to have people comment below? I know that in certain social media platforms, that the more comments and engagement you get, it can help boost your content. It lets that platform know, hey, this is popular. People are really liking this. Is it better to do a call to action in a video where it's telling them to like and comment? Or YouTube, is it better to do a call to action where you're asking them to subscribe and like that's it? Is it better to do a call to action when you're sending them to your website or to a landing page? I know it'll kind of look different in every platform, but specifically on the part of engagement, do you want to encourage people to like and comment? How important is that when it comes to video marketing? And then how does that affect call to actions? I'm done talking.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. I think a lot of people actually get this part wrong, or they overdo it, sort of one end or the other. So a couple of rules that I try to follow with calls to action. I think one, and this is the one I see violated maybe the most, is just have just one call to action. So not two, not three, not six. And my favorite example of that is when folks tell someone to call or text them at the end of a video. Now, sort of from a logical perspective, we can see how that's, it should be fine. They can pick which one they want. Like, why would that be a bad thing? But there's been a lot of research that's done on the idea of, like, when you give people additional choices, it makes them less likely to make any of the choices. So for instance, my choice then is not just, do I want to contact you? It's, do I want to contact you? And then which of those two ways do I want to choose to contact you? And so that's been shown that, like, some of those people will quit at that point. They'll say, I don't know, I'll think about it later. Even though it's a tiny decision, there's going to be a fraction that does that. So that's my first thing I always talk about, is try to have just one. Try to always have one. I mean, there's some certain kinds of video, like one-to-one video messages, don't always need a call to action necessarily, but most videos benefit from having some sort of call to action. So then from there, I think it's mostly about what the objective of the content was, right? So it's about so to your question about YouTube, getting people to subscribe. Obviously that's a huge deal on YouTube. So if we can get people to subscribe, we might even want to say it somewhere halfway through the video or more early on in the video. You see a lot of YouTube videos actually have that call to action in them multiple times. You can add, arrows to your video, kind of pointing to where they need to click to subscribe. Some people even mention the the notifications button and clicking that so you get the notification when they post a new video. But again, it's in that case it's just focused on that one thing. If you ask them to also comment, again, now you're giving them choices. And another aspect of this that folks don't know is that whenever we consume a piece of content, written, photographic, video, audio, whatever it is, there's basically we're going to be willing to take one action. And so one of the problems that you have with video from a marketing perspective is that people, when they've watched the video, that feels like an action. They sort of feel like they've completed something. In some cases, they literally have. They've even watched the entire video. Clicking after that, following your call to action after that is an additional step. And so that's another aspect we see. So for instance, if you're running a lead generation campaign, you might want to have some retargeting in place to follow up with more of a static graphic that reinforces the click you asked for in the video. So that's sort of a next level to it all, obviously, but that'll ensure you don't miss any of the people that liked your content but sort of felt they got what they needed in the moment but should have clicked and taken the next step. So I think if you look at it all that way, then it's just about what you're trying to accomplish. The last thing I'll say is just I do think asking people to comment is a great default. Most social platforms, most video platforms are going to reward comments. They're going to give you more reach as a result. It also is an incredible way to start a conversation. And I think that's really important is if you do get a comment, try to turn it into a back and forth. Respond, but try to ask a follow-up question or try to get them to leave an additional comment. However you can, usually questions are the best way to do that. And that's going to build the engagement on the post. It's going to get you in front of more people. There's a lot of benefit to all of that. So if I'm going to default to one thing, a lot of times I'll ask them to comment, or another one I'll sometimes use is to comment, but to tag a friend that would find the content interesting. So that's so again, we're going to craft the call to action based on the objective. So if I don't have much of an audience and I want more of an audience, I might tell people to tag a friend, right? If I've got a decent sized audience and I just want to really get as much engagement, make sure every single person in my following got a chance to see the video, then I'm looking for things like comments. And if I'm trying to drive business, I'm going to ask for the business and use a business oriented call to action. Done talking.
Awesome. That was a great answer. And I have follow-up questions, of course. But somebody asked in the chat, Tony, who's down in the crowd, asked, should I place a CTA in each bookmarked section on YouTube? I don't know if you can answer that question for us, Nick. I'm done talking.
Well, I think it's going to depend on again, it's going to depend on you and your audience. And I think that's what's so hard to talk about this stuff is every single one of us, every single business has a different audience, and different audiences are going to respond differently to different things, So for instance, like in the industry that we work with a lot, real estate, it's a very competitive industry and they get sold to constantly. So the way we have to talk to them, has to keep that in mind. We have to try to make sure we sort of differentiate ourselves from a lot of that competition. So I think, the answer to that is going to come down to, is that going to annoy your audience? So if you put a call to action like that in each of those segments, I would say in most cases, that's probably a great idea. I think most people tend to default to not asking for what they want or need often enough. So that's probably a good rule to follow is like, I'm just going to sort of ask, try to have that call to action as frequently as possible until somebody mentions it, and that's kind of the beauty of a lot of these platforms is the quote unquote trolls or the non fans, the non supporters will definitely tell us what we're doing wrong. So if we have a CTA in there too many times and it starts to bother folks, like somebody's probably going to mention it, and then we can adjust. So I would say, as sort of a rule to follow, yeah, I would lean in the direction of let me do this more often, let me keep pushing on this envelope, so to speak. And then if I push past a point that starts to bother people, they're probably going to tell me, and then I can make an adjustment. So hopefully that makes sense. And I'm done talking.
Thank you, Tony. If for any reason you have any follow-up questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. And that's for everyone who may have not been in the room when we first started. If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. We'll bring you up here or ask in the chat, and we'll be more than happy to answer your question. I wanted to ask Nick, when it comes to the content that you're going to be recording. Now, I have seen all kinds of videos, and I have seen videos that are straight up very salesy from the start. They're literally just trying to sell you something from the very beginning. And then I've seen videos that are just providing, general content value. Now, I'm really big on attracting my target audience by providing advice and content and value on information that I know, and I offer it for free to attract them, and so that they can come check me out and check out my services and all of that. So I'm really a big supporter in providing value and good information to your target audience on topics that are going to attract them. However, I don't know if there's other better ways, if there's other kind of content that you really suggest besides what I'm saying, just really valuable free information. And obviously I know there's different business types that might have to provide different types of videos, but specifically, what content generally can someone start thinking about whatever their business is, and they're like, all right, I really should do video marketing. Give them some ideas of what kind of videos they can create to help sort of boost their business. I'm done talking.
Sure. Yeah, I think so. The reality is when you say value content, which I agree with, I think that that's a great approach to all this. Like to me, that category is just incredibly broad. There's just a lot of things you can do there, and so I think the challenge is you gotta figure out what it is that your specific audience wants to see, right? So when we talk about the kinds of video I'm going to make, it really is dependent on that. And so that's where I listen to a lot of like the video gurus and whatnot, and they all speak from personal experience, like of course, right? So this worked for me, this is what you should go do, this is my system. Well, if you have a very similar audience, if your story, if your background is very similar to that person, then their system might work perfectly, right? So whatever videos they're making, whatever topics they're talking about, there's a decent chance that's going to work out for you. If it's not the same group, it might completely backfire. And I think this is where video gets a little dangerous almost because it is more intimate, it's more direct, it's more personal, right? It's just going to have a much more significant impact. It's kind of like it's like you working with an explosive. It can be an incredibly powerful tool, but if you use it wrong, it can really hurt you and backfire. And I don't mean that to scare people because the way it would backfire is not that it's going to hurt your business, but you might just start attracting the wrong people, and that hypothetically could hurt your business, although you probably still be doing good revenue numbers. So it's more about, you want to think about what's that audience going to value, right? So who are they? How old are they? I mean, to define that, I mean, I try to get our students to make customer avatars to get that specific, to really define this person. And if you're not familiar with the idea of a customer avatar, it's basically a profile of a specific person. So it's not a bunch of ranges. It's not very broad. Oh, I think my customer might be between 30 and 50 years old. No, I mean, this is a person with an exact age. They're 42 years old. They're a nurse. They have two children. They do this, that, and the other thing, whatever it might be. And by being really precise there, a lot of the question of what videos should I make will rise to the surface because what you're looking for is where do I have overlap with that ideal customer, right? So I go out and this is not a it's not a 20-second exercise, and this is obviously some work. But I've noticed that the businesses that have done that work, that have defined their ideal customer and tried to understand that person thoroughly, everything else they do is easier because it just automatically answers so many of those questions. So they're not thinking every time they sit down to make a video, what should I talk about? What kind of content should I make? They've got a list of topics. And because they're overlap, right? The idea is that these are things that I'm also interested. These are things, if they're pain points I've experienced and I'm willing to talk about. If they are interests, they're interests that I share, that I'm excited to talk about, and I don't have that many of them, right? So I'm going to have 3 to 5 kind of content pillars. So for a lot of folks, there's going to be some aspect of your community. There's going to be some aspect of what you do in your business and educating people sort of around those topics and in the sense of, hey, this is how you would do it yourself. And then there should be some aggressive marketing videos. So I think you got to have that mapped out. That's obviously a little bit of work there. But then it does make it all easier because now I've got a few topics I sort of rinse and repeat. So examples for me would be like in St. Louis here, which I'm based in St. Louis. I don't know if I mentioned that yet, but we just got a new MLS soccer team. So they literally start playing this Saturday. There's a huge soccer fan base in St. Louis. Everybody's just freaking out about this thing. I love soccer. My family plays soccer, so I love talking about it. That's such an easy topic for me, and I can bond with just thousands and thousands of people on it. So that's one. I obviously talk a lot about marketing techniques, but I also talk about like management and time management, and sort of these business related things. And then there's a fair amount of my videos and my posts that are basically TV commercials. I think, there's a lot of this stuff that when we look at how companies have been doing video for many decades now, we can sort of just take what they've already determined and use it ourselves, right? So we can look at TV commercials, these 15 to 30-second TV spots, and can we make our own version? Can we make something that is direct and promotional and has a sales call to action? And I think, a good ratio is kind of 1 in 5. Like 1 in 5 videos is really promotional like that. And it's a direct call to action and it tells people exactly how they would hire you. And then those 4 other videos are value, right? That's where we're talking to our community, we're talking about customer avatar. And I think the last thing I'll say on this is the thing that really helped me think about how to do this was I try to think about networking. So I think if I go out and network with new people, which by the way, I'm really not a fan of. I'm an introvert. I'd much rather make videos than go out into a crowd full of strangers and bump shoulders, but I've done plenty of it. And so when I walk in that room and I'm trying to meet people and I'm looking for ways to start a conversation, right? You want to chit chat for a while. Well, what are the things that tend to come up? Because those are going to be topics that you have some interest in, you have some understanding of, you could talk on, and they're also things that your audience, is going to find interesting. So I sort of see the videos I'm posting as networking, right? Like I'm using the videos and that it's very much attraction, right? It's very much based on who wants to watch the content and enjoys it and wants to see more. And I let that do the work, right? I let that go out there and kind of find these people who click with me on the right topics. And every now and then, I think of the promotional video, the commercial is sort of like just letting those people know, hey, if you ever do need to hire me, if you ever do want to take this further, here's how you do it, and just mix that in every so often. And I feel that tends to align pretty well. So whatever topics, whatever you like to build, small talk, whatever you like to kind of chit chat with people about when you're doing those types of events, those are probably going to be similar topics to your videos. Hopefully that makes sense. And done talking.
That was really good. That was excellent advice. And Connie, I apologize. I have been like just asking all the questions. If you have any questions to ask, you're very welcome to interrupt me and be like, "All right, I have a question." So
I don't have any questions as of yet, but I think that there was something that Nick touched upon at the very beginning where he talked about starting small. If you try to eat the goal within one bite, you're never going to get there. You're going to get really discouraged and you're going to end up quitting. So much like everything else that we talk about in terms of marketing and all of the tips and tools that we give you, eat it up in little bites. Like make mini goals. Like said, do the birthday videos and short videos to friends and family where one person's going to see it, to make sure you build up your confidence, just your ease of doing it, so that when you do get to that big video that you need to make, it's a piece of cake. That's it. That's all I wanted to add.
I love it. That's great. Also to add to the conversation. And then I had one more question for you, Nick, that I think this is a big question that I don't know if I've ever asked anybody to have them answer it specifically on video marketing, but I know a lot of people are afraid of this. And this is really what is the root of their fear, I think, when it comes to video marketing. So I wanted to know your advice on this. If you are doing your video marketing, you've gotten past the fear of actually doing the videos, you're out there, you're promoting stuff. What happens when you get negative comments, or not just the negative comments where somebody might say something negative about your video and throw it in the comments, and now you have something bad happening in the comment section, or nothing at all. You work real hard on this one video and get no likes or comments, or very little likes or comments on it. What kind of advice do you give your students who are struggling with this? How do you deal with negative comments or no engagement at all? I'm done talking.
Yeah, I think so. I always tell folks, look, when you get that first hater, I mean, celebrate. That's an exciting moment, because the reality is, in order for you to get a hater, there has to be enough of an audience for somebody to decide to be rude to you. And so I know it's kind of ridiculous in some ways, but that's how I think of it, right? So if I get people that are kind of critical on my content, or giving me kind of snide remarks or whatever, I'm just reminded of the fact that there are hundreds of people who saw the video that liked it as a result, right? So now, obviously, if you're getting a bunch of really negative comments, maybe you said something actually offensive in your video. I mean, you gotta make sure you're keeping an open mind to the fact that maybe you made a mistake. That is possible. But I don't think, in most cases, 99% of cases, that negative comment is often actually a sign that you're heading in the right direction. You did something good enough that somebody wanted to tear it down, right? So that's that side of it. On the other side, I think number one, you gotta accept the fact that you're gonna put out content that's not gonna perform, that's not gonna get comments, that's not gonna get likes. You might have thought it was amazing, and it just doesn't go anywhere. And I've kind of learned over the years to expect that, accept it. It's part of the process, and so therefore, be careful about putting a ton of work into a particular video, unless it's something you've kind of already proven. Like maybe it's a topic you've already gotten a whole bunch of attention or engagement on, and you want to do something just a little bit nicer. But again, incremental, right? I love that point from Connie. It's just like, let just focus on, hey, if I made this, I'm gonna make something 10% more complicated, not twice as fancy. And if you do it that way and you kind of take it one step at a time, you're gonna be less likely to have invested a ton of effort into something that just doesn't perform. Now that being said, I am a huge advocate of advertising. I think that I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the platforms on which we can advertise. Some of these companies are frustrating to work with, but on the other hand, the stuff works. I mean, and I think that it's a real shame. I see so many small business owners, especially in like things like real estate, where they're very sort of much independent salespeople, and they're just so reluctant to spend money, and that they look at all these gurus talking about, do this to get, all this organic engagement and grow your audience and all that kind of stuff, and that's great, and obviously it's sort of technically free, but it still uses your time. And so that's the other side of it, is like, if I make a piece of content and I want to make sure people see it, even if it didn't perform well organically, I'll just pay to put it in front of people. So I think that's another aspect of this that gets overlooked a lot, is, hey, if I make a video and I post it once, I mean, you don't even know why it didn't perform, right? I mean, these platforms, they only give us so much information. They're not going to tell you, well, three other people made a similar video in your area, and they just happened to post them a little earlier, and like, so people were tapped out on their interest in that particular topic. I mean, who knows, right? So if you have something you thought was good, that you think is important to share, to get in front of people, don't be afraid to spend a little bit of money. I mean, for even just a few dollars, you can make sure that video gets in front of that core audience. So sometimes showing an ad to the people who already like your business page, right? Showing an ad to the people who are already in your email database. The other thing that can do, beyond just making sure people see it, is that can seed the engagement, right? So now you've shown it. In fact, you can do that strategically. As soon as you post a video, you can advertise it to your top 100 fans, the people that are most engaged with you, which will guarantee that they get a chance to see it early on. They're more likely to engage with it. So they're going to leave a comment. They're going to like it. They might even share it or something. Now, when it goes out over the next few days organically, it's going to look a lot better, and it probably will get more engagement as a result. So there's a few things to consider. I just sum all of it up, though, at the end here, and just say the big thing is, just don't let that discourage you. Don't let a bad comment, don't let a lack of engagement, like, none of that should be seen as a sign that you're doing something necessarily wrong. You want to see your changes over time. So as I, it's all about consistency. Keep posting and seeing if that audience is growing. And just remember, as long as you're getting some attention, even if it's just a few views, you really never know what impact that's having. And then I've seen some videos that, like, I forgot I even made because they did so poorly. And then I'm sitting down with a client a couple months later, and they're referencing that video. And I'm thinking, really? Like, we're sitting here because of that video? Like, I don't even remember even commenting on it. There's lots of people consuming your content are not engaging, right? So keep that in mind too. There's sometimes things that get very little engagement, very few views, end up being some of the most impactful content we put out, and vice versa. Sometimes you go viral and it doesn't do you much good. In fact, I know some people that have gone viral on TikTok to an extent that they're like, I don't know who my customers are anymore. I can only work with people in my city, and I've got 1.5 million followers, and 1.4 million of them are from other parts of the country and the world. They can't even hire me, and I don't know how to sort through and find the ones that can. So there's it can be a double-edged sword in that sense. So you got to kind of keep that in mind, and just keep going, and just consistency is key. And I'm done talking.
I love it. And I think I've said that, how important it is to be consistent. And Connie, I know Connie for sure has said it so many times about the lack of engagement, specifically of what you mentioned. Just because they're not liking and commenting does not mean they're not paying attention. I've heard Connie say this a lot because it's absolutely true, and I find myself, honestly, I will consume a video, and like keep scrolling, and then it'll hit me that I didn't even like or comment on it, and I'll actually go back to at least like it, like if I'm in a rush, because like I'm like, hey, I want to make sure that I let you know that I enjoyed your content. But a lot of people do that. A lot of people just watch it and keep scrolling, even if they got value from they might forget or not even think to like or comment, but they're soaking it all in. So I love that you mentioned that. And that haters are good. Oh my gosh, that was probably like one of the best things. Oh, sorry. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. I got a weird alert from Clubhouse saying that something was going on with my server. So hopefully you guys can hear me. If not, just let me know. But yeah, so what you said about haters being good. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that. Um, you guys can hear me, right?
Yeah,
We can
we
hear
can
you.
still hear you.
We all got the video. We all got the notice.
Oh, okay, okay. I just wanted to make sure because I saw the caption not like recording me. But anyways, so yeah, so the fact that you say that haters are good, I absolutely love that. And not just the fact that they're good as in the sense that you're getting eyes on you and your business and everything, but that if they're literally commenting on your video, saying a negative comment, they're literally just helping you boost your video. So it's almost like, oh, thank you. Now I can respond and maybe we can, like go back and forth and help boost this content. So I like how you kind of like, put a positive spin to that. I just wanted to go into the chat, Nick, and let you know that someone commented. It was Nicole in the audience that she's been on Clubhouse for over 2 years and she still can't get on stage to talk. So videos are almost non-existent to her, but she is taking your advice and that she's going to start doing birthday videos and updating clients with videos. So like Nicole, like just kudos to you for taking a step in the right direction with facing your fear, and inside of Clubhouse, if you're interested in talking inside of Clubhouse and getting kind of past that anxiety of it, I started off really small, just literally joining rooms like this, and then like finally just getting myself to raise my hand, and even if you panic and unraise your hand, at least you took that first baby step of raising your hand, and then when I finally got up here, I think I joined some rooms where they literally just asked you to say something small, like, hey, just introduce yourself and give us any like positive comment you have to share, or any quick advice. And I joined some of these rooms that just literally had you come up and talk just because. And so I would just say something really quick and then get off stage or whatever. So just baby stepping it with this kind of platform works just as well. But I think that's awesome that you're going to take the birthday video advice, because I thought that advice is awesome. With that being said, Nick, I'm going to go ahead and post the link that you're going to share with us today. If you could, if it would work, it's not working. If you could let us know what this link is, I think I have to copy it to my phone. Share with us what we can find here, what it is, and then let people know where they can connect with you. That would be amazing. There it is. It's up there. I am Vanessa, and I'm done talking.
Yeah. So that's our weekly. Well, actually, it's our mini course. So what we're gonna do is when you sign up for that, you're gonna receive actually initially 14 days of free video lessons. So one lesson per day. They're all over the map. So we've got some on how to light yourself correctly, how to make sure you get good audio. We cover actually 2 videos on being more confident and compelling on camera. So a whole bunch of tips there. What to do when you go live, things like that, right? So it's basically just an introductory kind of mini course. So that each of the lessons is only a couple minutes long. It's a very low commitment. You obviously watch as many or as few of them as you want. They're just going to show up in your email inbox, and you'll receive those over the course of 2 weeks. So yeah, if you're someone who's getting started with video, or maybe you've been doing some stuff with video, but you want to kind of get better in your skill sets, it's going to be a great fit for you there. And I'll mention we do obviously work a lot with real estate agents. There might be 1 or 2 references to real estate in those 14 tips. However, they are pretty universal. So pretty much no matter what business you're in, what you do for a living, you should find some value there. So yeah, if this was helpful for you today, feel free to check it out. You just click on that link and sign up, and you'll start receiving those lessons. Oh, and I'm done. Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. And then Connie, if you wanted to kind of let everybody know who you are and what you do, we're gonna start winding down the room. I'm done talking.
Perfect. My name is Connie, and I'm a stress management coach. I'm here to help answer any questions you may have on stress, mindset, and Instagram as well. Nick, thanks so much for hanging out. I took a bunch of notes. I'm not a big videos person, but I do reels every day. And like you said, the most the most simplest videos or reels are the ones that get the most traction, that I put no thought into, and I'm like, you know what, I just got to show up, let me just show up. And then I think that was great. It's a really effective video and I didn't even plan it. So consistency is definitely key. That's how we've been able to grow our clubhouse following, and making sure we have audience members in our clubhouse, and we grew our client base through Instagram. So consistency, I think, is the biggest piece. And the second piece is little by little. Rome was not built in a day, it was built over hundreds of years. So take baby steps. And when you look back, you see all the little baby steps that got you to where you are today. So one step at a time. Don't stress yourself out trying to eat the whole pizza one slice at a time.
Love that. I was going to say, Connie, if you're making reels every day, you're definitely a video person at this point. So that's great. I love to hear that.
That's what I was thinking when she said she's not a video person. I was like, yeah, you are, Connie. You just don't even realize it. Like you're making reels every day.
Well, you're right. You're actually right. I just don't, since they're small and they're less than a minute, I always think like, okay, that's me eating one slice a day. Like I would love to have an hour YouTube talking about health and fitness and mindset. I'm not there yet, so I'm gonna eat one slice at a time. So I'll get there.
That's really good, Connie. Yeah, I'm the opposite. And this has actually encouraged me and motivated me to do more video, because I am the one that will plan it out and I will sit down and I've got my fancy microphone, my fancy camera, and I'll do like a full blown training video on Pinterest marketing and post it on YouTube and my blog post. And I create a whole blog post for it. And it takes me a long time to do this, but I cannot get myself to sit there and spend the time to do a really quick reel when really I'm overthinking it and I need to just turn on the phone, give some quick value, some quick advice, not overthink it, and just post the video and call it a day. And so I know how effective that is, for my business. So I really do need to do more video marketing. So this is kind of boosting me like, all right, Vanessa, let's do some more reels. But I really appreciate you being here, Nick. This was so valuable. You gave such great advice that some of our audience is already implementing and thinking about doing. So thank you so much for being here today. If you guys haven't checked Nick out, feel free to follow him in here, check out his social media, check out his video lessons, and his website, and follow him and get to know him as a thank you for all the great value that he shared with us today. Nick, I forgive me if you didn't mention this before, but if you can let everybody know where they can find you, like your go-to place if they want to message you and ask you any questions, where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm fairly old school in the sense that I really like Facebook and LinkedIn. So if you want to look me up, it's Nick Niehaus, and that's spelled Niehaus. Maybe I'll just put that in the well, actually, just click on my profile to see my name there, obviously. But yeah, I love to connect on either Facebook or LinkedIn. I love the idea of sort of two-sided connections and being able to engage with each other's stuff. So if you want to connect with me, follow me there.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for being here. This was such a pleasure, such a great room. I hope you guys found value in it. Just a reminder to everyone that we are here most Wednesdays at 9 a.m. We do take some Wednesdays off now, and we bring in guest speakers to speak on different topics regarding marketing or mindset to help you guys grow your business. If you are a business owner and you are an expert in marketing or mindset and you want to be a guest speaker, go to my website, networknessie.com. Go to the podcast section. You can check out the application there and sign up, and I will be in touch with you to get you scheduled to come talk with us. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this as much as I did and can join us on the next Wednesdays. We're here at 9 a.m. Eastern. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'm going to go ahead and shut down the room here in 5 seconds, and we will see you all next time. It's closing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Bye. Thanks for hanging out.
Bye.